I take back everything that I said in the previous book. Oh, I'm kind of just kidding because I still think the beginning of this book was not good. And it was just a very slow, like, first fourth of this book. But I am pretty much at the halfway point of this book. And boy, has it picked up. There's a few things that are happening that I want to talk about that I think are really interesting. First of all, Carl is killing people in real life, which is crazy. He killed Loida, which that was a crazy thing. And I'm glad that he did that. But I kind of am glad that he did that because he's kind of becoming this anarchist, which I think is necessary for the book. The book's plot seems to be getting, again, it seemed to have been growing beyond the dungeon for a long time, but this is the first time when I feel like it's really growing beyond the dungeon. And Carl means business. My read stopped at that point where I thought it was so fascinating. I think it's so good. There's a few other things that have happened that have kind of picked up this novel. And I do kind of wish, like if I was, sometimes I sit here because I used to be an editor and I sit here and I say, man, the editor for Matt Dinniman could have been the hero of this book, because he just needed to reorder a few chapters. Like, yes, the Chris thing is essential. Chris is essentially has like this mind worm, and he's really Maggie, or Maggie's like using him. But I almost wish that came up earlier. That would have intrigued me a lot with this whole thing. Because the beginning of this book, I just kind of feel like the beginning was just falling flat for me. It's really picked up. But Chris being controlled by Maggie is really interesting. It's crazy that one of my favorite moments in this whole entire section was Donut essentially sacrificing, not really sacrificing, but like understanding Carl is not a person killer and sets up this portal, and then Chris goes falling through this portal, to be dealt with another day. That was really interesting to me because really that wouldn't have solved that much. Chris was kind of in agony, so maybe it would have been a mercy to put him out of his misery. But I'm really glad that happened because that's a growth for Donut and Carl. I think one thing that I keep thinking through this whole thing is that Donut is such a child character, but she's still such a fun character for me. I think she is growing in ways that I really love. Like Carl's growing into becoming an anarchist, and he's growing to completely take down this dungeon. Donut is growing to really love and value Carl and Katya and Zev. And she's like, her relationship with Zev and how she grew rigid when Zev couldn't really talk and was kind of out of their life. And Donut was like, I didn't even get a chance to say goodbye. That stuff is so fascinating and so interesting to me. Like, she's truly growing as a character. And she's truly starting to love these people. And even like a person like Katya, who she didn't really like at the beginning, she's starting to kind of love and defend, which just makes her a really fun character, to be honest. I think that she is quickly becoming one of my favorites. Obviously, her and Carl are the main two people, so like they're probably one of your two favorites. But it's great. Also, the Zev leaving thing was, I think, one of the best parts of this section too, because that gave you a chance to see Donut's growth, and that Donut is like devastated that Zev has left, because Zev is like a true friend, truly understands Donut with all like their Gossip Girl stuff and all the shows that they watch. They just seem to like really get each other, and it's sad that Zev is kind of out of the story, but I don't know if she's going to be out of the story. I feel like they're getting another manager, not Zev. Zev might be punished again or something like that. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I really hope that they get reunited. I think that will happen. Another thing is Lucia Marr. I keep saying this, but Lucia Marr, I am almost 100% convinced that she is normal and that she's a little bit better. She's fighting with other people, as they showed on the recap episode, because she has to in this level. But I do think that she's kind of normal, and I feel like this level is going to prove that she's kind of normal. They probably won't meet her on this level. I'm guessing that they're going to meet her on another level. But I think that's going to be fantastic when they meet her and they kind of realize that she's normal and she might help overthrow the whole dungeon. I feel like she might be integral to the plot in the 6th or 7th book or whatever. So I'm excited to see her when they actually meet her, because they have to be able to meet her sometime. The boss battle was really funny with the mother goose, and it was an environmental, so they had to use the garbage disposal. That was a little brutal, but that was kind of fun. They did it on the last second, which was kind of great. There's a lot of like tropes in this book too, which again, I think it's the expectations that you have with this book versus like what it actually is. And this just is a fun book. Like a book like this that's just really fun can follow tropes. I don't think this book is going to be like a huge award winner. It's going to be an award winner for just like a bestseller, because this is just fun. And honestly, again, more and more, I've been alive, the more and more years I've had under my belt. Sometimes the more and more I just want a book that's a bestseller. That's a really fun book that you can kind of get lost in. I love a well-written book. I love a well-characterized story. And I love like a book that doesn't have a lot of tropes. Like trope writing is my least favorite thing. When they defeated the goose and they defeated it on one, in my head I was going, if I was an editor and I wanted to make this a better written book, I would have had them defeat it on like 9 seconds left. Like having them defeated at 1 second, it ramps up the drama. But I was taking a walk this morning thinking I would have ended this earlier, so it wasn't just like the trope of, oh, it's 1 second and they stop it. But that does make the writing more boring. So you're compromising something. You either make the story more realistic, or you we're talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl being realistic, which, what are we talking about here? So I guess you can kind of follow tropes in this. But all I'm saying is that I don't mind some of the tropes in this because it is a really funly written book. And they have to kind of have like some of the drama ramp up. So they defeat this goose with 1 second left. So that was kind of interesting. It also, in this section, said Carl was going to try something. And then obviously we saw that he tried this where he like sunk this trailer underwater and ends up killing Loida, which is crazy. Loida also says something about the what was it? This bloom? The bloom, I think it's the bloom. And how she hates humans because they're not really a part of it and we're like a terrible race. Which, screw her. So glad that she's dead, which is terrible for me to say, but I can't stand her. So glad she was not helping them PR at all. Zeb was really the one that was helping them with the PR, like so much more. I really hope that Zeb takes the reins again and can really help them out here. And again, I don't know what's going on with the whole wider story of this. I think we're getting tidbits again, but I can't really piece a lot of the things together for what Carl is going to do or where we're going to really go in this. But we have to be getting out of this sometime soon. Like, again, I think Carl is at the top of the standings and he can kind of do things and get away with things because they're not going to kill him because he's bringing them a ton of revenue. So they're hoping that he gets down to further levels, but every single interview, Carl might be blacklisted on interviews, but the one thing that he has going for him is he's a very good actor. He is, even with the cookbook, he is doing things to make it look like he doesn't have the cookbook, which in my head I keep going, how is he reading the cookbook and getting away with reading the cookbook? Because wouldn't Donut or Mordecai realize that he has the cookbook? But I guess he's reading it maybe before he goes to bed or sleep or something like that. He's probably sneaking little glances in here and there. But it seems like he's studied this. It almost seems like for Harry Potter, it seems like the Prince's Advanced Magic book. The Half-Blood Prince's, like, you know, his potions book. Because it feels like there's like a cheat sheet and it's like the same thing that Harry pores over this all the time. Carl seems like he knows this so well. It seems like he pores over this all the time. I'm wondering where he does that and when he does that. It doesn't seem like he has a lot of time. So that's another thing that just kind of goes through my head. But again, it's been fun. I'm really enjoying this. The cookbook is a really good adaptation, or it's a good addition to this book. We're starting to get more things. The feral gods seem like it's like looming off in the distance somewhere, and I feel like there's going to be a huge point with that. But I just don't know it. But I definitely think this book is ramping up a lot, and I'm really enjoying it a lot more. I still don't think it's necessarily one of the better written books, but I think this one is bringing in ideas of Carl's true anarchy, which I think that there's going to be something where I don't think he gets out of the dungeon, but he creates some kind of anarchy with like going on these interview shows. And I think he might get blacklisted from some of these. But again, what I was saying before, he does a good job of acting, so it almost is like he doesn't, like these things are accidents that just kind of happen around Carl. But if these accidents keep happening around Carl, no one's going to want to be on an interview with him. So that makes me curious. I keep thinking about the weird connection that Odette has with Mordecai. I don't know what's going on there. I think there's more background that we need for everything. But yeah, it just makes me excited to keep reading the story. I think I finally got back into this book. I don't think it's necessarily one of the better ones. I maybe am going to start enjoying it slightly more than the last one. The last one was really good though, especially with Katya. Katya was just so good in that. So I'm curious how this is going to progress, where this gate is, the Feral God Gate, and what's going to happen. But it's kind of catching my interest a little bit more, at least a little bit more than it did in the last video. So that's all I got for you. Make sure you subscribe. You can like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.